Hey friends, it's Dr. Cindy. Welcome back. I feel like it's been a few weeks since we chatted. It has. I'm finally back from Greece. It was awesome, and I am really glad to be home though. And I missed you all. I thought about going live a couple times, but I was 8 hours ahead, so it kind of made it hard to time it, and especially when you guys were up and I wasn't exhausted. So it's good to be back home with my own food, meal prepping. But if you ever get a chance to go to Greece, it was great. So I'll tell you a funny story. We were on the way there, and there was this little boy in front of us as we were about to get off in Athens, and we were deboarding the plane, and the little boy asked, or maybe we weren't even in Athens yet. I think we were actually headed into Frankfurt on our layover, and he asked, he's like, "Where are you going?" And he's probably like 3 or 4, and I said, "Greece." And Jason is standing next to me, and I said to the little boy, I'm like, "When you're married for 25 years, you'll get to go to Greece too." And Jason looks at the little boy all serious, and he says, "Boy, hope you never have to go to Greece." But it was great, and we renewed our vows. And we were on Explore. They did an amazing job. They did an amazing job with my food allergies as well. So if that's something that you struggle with when you travel, you just have to make sure that you let everyone know what's happening with your food allergies, and people will accommodate. And it's actually easier, I think, outside the U.S. than it is in the U.S. So of course, while I was gone, this hot topic kept coming up about Tylenol and autism. And I just want to remind you guys, if you do have a question, I am on TikTok and YouTube, and I'm not sure if I'm recording on YouTube right now because it's telling me to rotate my device, which I think that I forgot to do. So I'll make sure that I'll put that up on there after. But if you have a question, make sure that it's relevant to the conversation, and I will try and get to it tonight. We do have a lot of questions because as I posted the teaser this morning, I had quite a few come through, and even while I was at the gym today as well. So tonight's conversation is one that's really close to my heart, and I was bombarded with this actually right when school started because the hot topic was my kids having a hard time focusing. School's back in session. The teacher's telling me that we're having behavioral issues. And one of the tests that I use a lot with my kids, I use it with the adults too, but it's called the OATS test, the organic acids test. And I'm going to get into that tonight about what it is, what it tests for, what we can expect to see. And I thought it would be great to tie it in to all this talk about Tylenol right now. So we're going to dive into this. And again, it's not political. So if you have a political stance on this, please don't bite the messenger. I'm just giving you my take on it. And I just want to educate you about what I'm seeing when I do these tests. Okay. So everywhere that you look, people are talking about autism. I was listening to a podcast yesterday and I got some new statistics. I think they said 10 years ago, 1 in 75 kids had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. So it is definitely growing. Why is it growing? Is it the food? Is it the environment? What exactly is going on? So the awareness, the confusion, and now this flood of new research linking autism to early exposures, gut health, and even certain over the counter medications like Tylenol. So, tonight we're going to talk about what's really happening underneath the surface, the biochemical story behind autism, inflammation in the brain. We're also going to talk about one of the most powerful tools that I use in my practice, and it's called the OATS test, the organic acids test. It is the measure of urine, and it reveals what's happening in your gut, your mitochondria, brain chemistry, and detox pathways. And yes, we'll even touch on the new buzz topic, Tylenol and autism risk, because the science there is too important to ignore. So I want to talk about understanding the autism conversation. And I feel the spectrum has gotten really broad. So a lot of people are being diagnosed with it, especially if they're having behavioral issues. So there's been an explosion in autism diagnosis, but we have to start asking why. Autism isn't one thing, it's a spectrum of biochemical imbalances that show up neurologically. And we know from research that many individuals with autism have chronic gut inflammation, yeast, or bacterial overgrowth. That is one that I see a lot in this oats test, is the bacterial overgrowth. Mitochondrial dysfunction, neurotransmitters are not firing. We're having dips in serotonin, dopamine, which is causing behavioral issues at home and at school, high oxidative stress, low levels of antioxidants like glutathione, which that's coming from our food, and we're not producing enough glutathione to break down the nutrients that our bodies need. Impaired detoxification, and we've talked about detoxification, about opening up those pathways so everything's flowing well, and that is where the Tylenol link starts to make sense. Multiple studies are now showing that prenatal and early life exposure to Tylenol can disrupt the brain's development by depleting glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant and detox molecule. When glutathione drops, oxidative stress rises, and when the oxidative stress rises, the developing brain becomes more vulnerable to toxins, inflammation, and mitochondrial injury. That's why many of the kids that we see with autism also are showing biochemical patterns of oxidative stress and glutathione depletion on their organic acids test. I'm telling you, this test is amazing. I've ran it on myself, I've ran it on Jason, and it just gives you a nice baseline to see exactly what's going on. I love blood work. You guys know that blood work is first and foremost for me, but the organic acids test is especially great with children because sometimes blood work can be hard to get. Kids are scared of the needles. I have grown adults that are scared of the needles, but it's a completely different avenue and pathway of testing. And it's really hard to look at labs, blood labs, to see if the neurotransmitters are not firing. And that's where the urine picks it up. So if you're ever curious about the organic acids test, it is something that I offer. Just reach out to me and I'll let you know. I do a consult with it as well. That way you're not interpreting it on your own. And then I'll also give you a plan of action as far as what the results reveal. Okay, so the power of the organic acids test. Let's dive into what the oats is and why it's so powerful. So the organic acids test, it's a simple urine test that measures over 70 different metabolites. And this little cup gets delivered to your front door. I send the kit from the lab to your front door. And all I ever ask is make sure that you don't have any mushrooms or apples within 48 hours because it can actually throw it off. And you freeze the urine before you ship it off, and it takes about 10 to 14 days to get the results back. So what is it looking for? It's testing the chemical byproducts of the metabolism, and that tells us how well our body is functioning on a cellular level. Think of it like this. Your cells are little engines, and when they burn fuel, they leave behind exhaust, and that exhaust is what the oat measures. It tells us if your engine is running clean or if there's something clogging it, right? I always say we're all eradicating cancer every day. Our bodies are doing its job, and cancer is something that never goes away. It's always there, but it's when things become sludgy and they get clogged is when those cells need attention, right? So we got to make sure that nothing gets clogged and everything's running smoothly. So the oat looks at gut health. It measures markers of bacterial imbalance and yeast overgrowth, things that will show up like overgrowth bacteria as well, candida, and it shows up in kids with autism. Mitochondrial function. It tells us if your cells are producing enough energy. Many people with autism, ADHD, or fatigue have very low mitochondrial output. All the peptides that I'm taking, pretty much everything that I'm doing right now is for mitochondrial support, because as we age, that mitochondrial health declines. So we want to make sure that, again, on a cellular level, we're aging in reverse instead of aging forward. We don't want our cells to age fast. It's also checking neurotransmitters. We can see if dopamine, serotonin, or norepinephrine pathways are struggling, which impacts focus, mood, and behavior. All right, so we got to make sure those neurotransmitters are firing. Nutrient status. It shows deficiencies in B vitamins, CoQ10, and carnitine, all essential for energy and brain health. All right, remember, I am watching questions, but if I miss some, I'm sorry, because I am trying to moderate a couple of different platforms. I am looking straight ahead at Facebook, so if you're on Facebook, ask away. I won't miss those. Oxidative stress markers. These reveal if the body is inflamed or overloaded with toxins. Detox pathways. The oats test shows if you're making enough glutathione and how well your liver is handling environmental chemicals or medications. Again, if we have enough glutathione, we're able to fight off so many different things, but when those glutathione levels start to dip, that is when things become sludgy and we start having issues. Most of the patients that I see in my office that come to me, they're very low in glutathione. And, again, I don't like to put you straight on glutathione. There's a process to that because we got to make sure that your gut is healthy enough. And so we got to get your gut health up so you're able to absorb everything. So many people come in, they're like, can I just do a detox? No, you cannot just do a detox. You have to build up before you can break down, because if you aren't healthy enough, a detox can actually make you very, very sick. And you got to open up those detox pathways. This is why the oats test is such a valuable tool, especially when we're talking about kids or adults on the spectrum. You wouldn't believe how many adults that I have found on the spectrum that had no idea they were, and it explains so many things that they've been experiencing through their lifetime that they just got dismissed at the doctors and they really had no idea. So they've been exposed to Tylenol, maybe antibiotics or environmental toxins early in life, and it's caused them to be on the spectrum. So the Tylenol link, glutathione and brain development. So let's circle back to Tylenol for just a second, because this is where it gets real. Tylenol is one of the most common medications used during pregnancy and early childhood. For years, it was considered safe. But newer studies, including large population analysis, are showing that frequent Tylenol use during pregnancy may increase the risk of neurodevelopment disorders, including autism and ADHD. So that is probably why we are seeing such a rise in autism and kids on the spectrum. Why? Because Tylenol depletes glutathione. Glutathione is your body's most powerful antioxidant. It's the cleanup crew for toxins, heavy metals, and inflammatory molecules. When a child's glutathione reserves are low, their brain becomes far more vulnerable to oxidative damage. That's why on the organic acids test, I often see markers that show glutathione depletion. I'll see increased mitochondrial stress. I will see neurotoxins linked to brain inflammation and mood dysregulation. When we support glutathione production through nutrition, B vitamins, antioxidants, and detoxification, the brain starts to recover. Kids sleep better, focus improves, anxiety drops, behavioral stabilizes. If you're starting to see a shift, a lot of kids are fine, and then they're not. That's what I'm hearing stories of. My child has been fine, she's 6 years old, no issues. And then all of a sudden, she's having anxiety before dance or cheer, and she's having behavioral issues, and she's not getting along with the family, and she's having focus and attention issues at school. I'm hearing this over and over and over. So it is the depletion of glutathione, and their guts are not as healthy as they need to be. They got candida overgrowth, and their neurotransmitters are not firing. So it's not a coincidence. That is biochemistry healing itself. So the gut-brain connection. The gut and brain are constantly talking to each other. The gut makes neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, and it's lined with immune cells that determine how inflamed or calm your system feels. When there's yeast, bad bacteria, or food sensitivities, the gut becomes leaky. You always hear me talk about leaky gut. That allows toxins and inflammatory molecules to enter the bloodstream and it reaches the brain. That's why on the oats test, when we see high yeast metabolites, it often correlates with brain fog, meltdowns, or sleep problems. When we correct those imbalances, clean up the diet, support digestion, and we use probiotics strategically, parents often see massive improvements in mood, focus, and behavioral. All right, so what does healing really look like? I always tell families autism isn't something that we're trying to fix. The goal isn't to change who your child is, it is to help their body function optimally so their light can shine through more clearly. When we heal the gut and we support mitochondria, restore glutathione, and rebalance the neurotransmitters, that fog lifts. You start seeing more calm, more connection, and more energy. That's where the oat helps us to do. It points us to where the healing begins. All right. So if this conversation it resonates with you and you've ever wondered what's driving the symptoms behind autism, ADHD, or even anxiety, this test is where I would start. It's the organic acids test. It's called the oat test. It can be done at any age. It's a simple at-home urine test, even if it's an infant. Like there's actually like a certain test kit that I will send out to you. It's shipped straight to your front door, and you ship it straight out, and you can actually coordinate the pickup from FedEx from your front door. So you don't even have to leave the house. Once we get the results, we'll walk through them together, and I'll build a targeted plan for healing. You can message me directly or visit my website, lifewellnessforever.com, to learn more. And always, you can call me 251-635-7477. And if you're a parent or an adult struggling with brain fog, fatigue, mood swings, focus, attention, don't wait. It's never too late. You're never too old. Healing starts with understanding. All right, so I had quite a few questions that came through, and again, if I am missing yours, I am sorry. I'm not seeing anything on Facebook, but there's a lot on TikTok, so I will make sure that I will answer them as they come through after the live. Okay, so what exactly is the organic acids test? The oat is a urine test that measures byproducts of metabolism. It gives insight into how well your gut, mitochondria, detox system, and brain chemistry are functioning. It's a roadmap to see what's really happening inside the body. 2. How is the oat connected to autism? Many children and adults with autism will show imbalances in gut bacteria, yeast, neurotransmitters, and detox pathways. The oat test helps uncover those issues, allowing us to support the body naturally and improve focus, mood, and behavior. Question 3. What age can someone take the oat test? It can be done at any age, even toddlers. It's a simple urine test, non-invasive, and perfect for kids who may struggle with blood draws, and also you adults that struggle with blood draws. I get that pretty much every week, especially from my men. Question 4. Can adults benefit from this test too? Absolutely. Adults with fatigue, anxiety, brain fog, or mood swings often have the same metabolic imbalances. I use the oat for both children and adults in my practice. Question 5. Can autism really improve through functional medicine? While autism isn't cured, many symptoms can improve dramatically when the body's biochemistry is balanced. And that's with any chronic illness too. When the body's balanced, we can fight off anything, right? Our symptoms will improve. I've seen better sleep, mood, speech, and social connection once we address gut health and inflammation. Again, it always circles back to gut health and inflammation. 6. What are the most common things that you see out of balance on an oat test? Yeast or bacterial overgrowth, low serotonin or dopamine markers, mitochondrial dysfunction, high oxalates, and nutrient deficiencies like B12 or CoQ10. Each one can affect mood, focus, and behavior. 7. How long does it take to see the results? Most families start noticing improvements within 4 to 8 weeks after addressing key imbalances. I pretty much get emails within 3 to 4 weeks saying the behavioral issues have improved, the sleep's improved, even like bedwetters. The children that are having a hard time with that improves as well. The body starts healing once we remove the stressors and we nourish the cells. Question 8. Can medication and functional medicine work together? Yes. My goal is to always complement your doctor, not replace traditional care. We often see the best results when we support the body's natural healing while continuing necessary medical treatments. 9. How do diet and food play a role in autism? It's huge. Man, if we could just nail this food thing down, we would just be better off in the world, right? I mean, I even see it. I even see it in other countries now. It's really sad and scary because you used to be able to go out of the country and knew that people were living better, but now the U.S. is starting to shift over. I don't even want to get into that, but I saw a lot of obesity, a lot of inflammation on my trip, and it's definitely getting worse. But anyway, food can be medicine or a trigger, and removing inflammatory foods like gluten, dairy, artificial dyes, it can calm the nervous system and reduce inflammation that impacts the brain. What are oxalates and why do they matter? Well, oxalates are natural compounds found in many foods, and when they build up due to poor gut health, they can irritate tissues, worsen behavior, or cause pain. The oat identifies if they're high so we can safely lower them. Most of my autism kids have very high oxalates. Question 11. Is the oat test expensive or difficult to do? It's simple, just a urine sample collected at home. Prices vary, but it's one of the most valuable tests that I run because it saves families time and money by revealing the why behind the symptoms. You're not chasing for years and years and years trying to figure out what's going on, because your regular MD, they're not looking, they're not going to test the oats test. It's just not one of their tools in their toolbox. They're not trained on it, and I would say probably 75% of them have never even heard of the oats test, especially when my patients try to share the information with them. So I would not look to your MD. Find a functional medicine doctor that provides it, and make sure they're knowledgeable with it. Question 12. How can someone order the test or work with me or you? I offer the organic acids test through my practice, Life Wellness Forever. You can message me directly or visit my website, lifewellnessforever.com, to schedule a consultation. I can ship the test anywhere in the U.S. As always, it's great to be back with you all, and thanks for taking your Thursday and spending about 30 minutes with me. Hopefully I did not take up too much of your time. I'm at 6:24 right now, so I am going to go ahead and cut this if there's no more questions. All right. Okay, guys. Have a great night. No more questions, and I will see you next week. Again, reach out to me, 251-635-7477. Have a great night. Bye-bye.